I'm your host, Justin Myers. Super producer Brenden is safely partitioned on the other side of the glass. Thanks for getting up early with us or staying up late, however you are rolling on this particular Wednesday. Brenden, no mention of the NBA Cup announcement, schedule announcement in the update? No mention?
Texas running backs seem more relevant to me.
You think?
To me.
J.J. McCarthy might not be playing? You don't think the NBA Cup schedule announcement that was all...
Can I be honest? I haven't really got into it. I just saw it was announced, but either way, I know we're joking, but I don't know enough about it to have an opinion, Justin.
I am reminded of one of my favorite episodes of The Office, which I might argue is the greatest episode of The Office, which is the Dundies. All right. I know most people say the dinner party is the best episode of The Office. I ride for the Dundies, which ironically, both of those episodes don't take place an awful lot of time in The Office. But
I know, right?
The Dundies is
two really good choices.
Is my favorite episode of The Office.
How about the you don't put
you have won a tiny Dundee.
You don't put
Dwight's out there sucking the funny out of the room. I love it.
And just, of course, at a Chili's, right?
Yes.
Justin, Chili's is the new golf course. I don't know if you knew that, but Chili's. But I also throw in the Booze Cruise. That's one of my all-time favorites.
Another one not really in The Office.
But one of my... I'm king of the world! Yeah.
So, I'm in the brink. So,
classic.
In the episode of the Dundies, which the reason why it was so funny was the whole premise of it. And I think Jim, the character Jim, set it up, or maybe it was Pam, I don't know, where it was like, you ever go to a party and you just have to this kid's really into it and you just go. I'm not doing a very good job of reciting the line, which is why I don't do comedy. I do sports commentary. But it's and you have to sit there and just watch it because it's your boss. It's like when you go to a place and it's like, hey, we're going to show you some home videos of our trip. And you're like, oh, it's your boss. We really have to. I feel like the entire NBA is having to pretend like they are so into the NBA Cup because Adam Silver likes it. Doesn't it feel like the NBA Cup is the Dundies? And all of the teams are like, do we put out a social media? I guess Adam.
He's obsessed with tournaments, man.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Just like Michael Scott was obsessed with the Dundies, just like he was obsessed with the whole presentation, and everybody had to show up and pretend like they were enjoying it, and everybody had to pretend.
We will not be paying for your friends and family's drinks this year.
We're all on separate checks.
Classic.
But do you know what I mean? It feels like. Hey, the Blazers put out a video of the dunking otter at the Oregon Oregon Aquarium, which I love that.
Yeah, I'll give him dap.
Dunking otter is awesome.
That was cool.
But it's I wonder if this probably didn't happen, but I just assume Adam Silver is on a conference call going hey, you know how those NBA teams or those NFL teams do those special social media things to release the schedule of the season, the Chargers did that anime thing that really I think we should all do that for the NBA Cup. What do you guys think? And everybody's like, yeah, Adam, sure.
No one wants to tell him no.
We're gonna do that.
I don't know what his you would have thought that
can I pat myself on the back? The fact that I think that may be one of my best comparisons is that the NBA Cup is the Dundies.
Oh, it's just, I don't know, Justin, why he can't satisfy that desire. And it's we've heard this, and you would have thought that the itch would have been scratched when he finally got the midseason tournament that nobody gives a bleep about.
Yes.
Just going to be honest.
But isn't that what this is? They've renamed the midseason tournament the NBA Cup now. That's what it is. Yeah, they just renamed the Dundies to a different name.
Okay, the name is cooler, I guess, but I didn't. I don't know, Justin. Did you care this last year? I didn't. Maybe because the Blazers were, not so great, but I did not care about the midseason tournament whatsoever.
No,
didn't care about the play. The what do you call it? The pool. Like, it just was like, okay, it's not the real thing. Like, it is, but it isn't. I don't know. It's weird.
It's
again,
like I said, it is the Dundies. It is the conference commissioner's obsession.
Yes.
Nobody quite knows. Like, hey, how do you win a Dundee? Nobody knows. How do you win the NBA Cup? Really not quite sure. Do they count as regular season? I think some do, but some do. The stats all count? Oh yeah, the stats all count. But do you raise a banner? Is it something you celebrate? Do you get a ring? But the entire time I saw the Blazers and other teams, by the way, not just the Blazers, but the entire time I saw them putting out these social media posts about mark your calendars, get ready. I just feel like, guys, Adam really loves this. We got to do it. I know. Yeah. I know that it's like it's the NBA Cup, and we just got to do it because Adam really likes it. So,
do you think that very much, Justin, like how one of the funniest moments of that episode was Pam winning the longest engagement, or nearly winning the longest engagement again, is right now Adam Silver somewhere going, and the longest pending sale goes to the Portland Trailblazers.
By the way, speaking of pending sales, or not pending sales, but did you see the NBA team evaluations?
Ooh, yes, I
not
did.
Evaluation, but valuation, a term we all learned from Shark Tank. Nobody knew what valuation
100%,
was before Shark Tank came into our world, but saw this interesting numbers in the NFL. And again, these are educated guesses, right? NFL teams sell for whomever wants to buy them. They are. It's an interesting discussion point as to which team is the most valuable, but I would argue, so the Cowboys are now listed. The Dallas Cowboys are the most valuable team in all of American sports. The Dallas Cowboys are listed at $10.32 billion in the sports franchise. The Los Angeles Rams come in at second place at 7.79. And then the New York Giants, 7.65. Patriots, 7.31. That may be the great. I know that when Jerry Jones bought the Cowboys, and now that they are a $10 billion organization, that might be the greatest investment we have seen from sports. But I think going back and looking at the Robert Kraft deal when he bought the Patriots, and the fact that he was just a guy that I don't want to say it was a scam. It wasn't a scam. It was a very savvy business move. But if you watched the Dynasty documentary about the New England Patriots, which again was a big Robert Kraft's love letter to himself, it was kind of a scam how he bought the Patriots. He bought the parking lot around the stadium, and the Patriots were like, hey, can we have our parking lot back? And he was like, no, but you can sell me the team. Like, what? And they were fledgling, and then now to his credit, they built Gillette Stadium, which is an actual, it was a massive, massive upgrade there. But, yeah, he was just like, it reminded me of, McDonald's. Did you watch The Founder?
Oh, of
when
course.
You watched The
Great,
Founder.
Michael Keaton, great movie.
And Michael Keaton was like, Ray Kroc. They're like, yeah, I'm going to buy the land. And then as the landowner, I can then just run everything above the land. So the dirt, that's mine. And he basically built his fortune on real estate, scamming franchisees. It felt a little bit like so I can't own the stadium, but every bit of acreage around said stadium, I can own that, and I can just make them all parking lots for football games. And then the Patriots don't get to profit in the parking, which
it's definitely,
I got to imagine
it was
parking probably. Where would you think parking is in terms of? Obviously, you make all your money in TV.
A lot of money in parking. A lot of money in parking.
Second is probably ticket sales,
beer,
and then concessions. But the concessions deal for stadiums, I think some of them do in-house, but most of the time there are other companies that you just they write you a check, and then they come in and do all your concessions. But that's why I don't think the team sets the beer prices. It's whatever the company is. We may talk about beer prices, by the way, coming up in On Campus.
Yeah, it's fascinating, Justin, because like you said.
But then after that, you got to imagine parking has got to be like the fourth best revenue stream.
Yeah.
And Robert Kraft just like, yeah, I own the parking lots.
Yeah, I mean, it's like
you can sell me the stadium.
Yeah, I mean, just looking even at the top 5, Justin. So like they've all been like Cowboys. You mentioned 10, right? Jerry bought them for 140 million, not billion.
Yeah.
Patriots, Robert Kraft bought them around the same. The Giants have been in the Mara family for.
I don't even think they bought the Giants. They just were the Giants.
Yes.
One day in like 1932,
yes.
They were like, we shall be known
as the Giants, and that was just it. But
the New York Football Giants.
Yeah, and to your point, like very quietly, Justin, it took me to learn that movie to realize, even now, still one of the biggest landowners in the United States you don't know about. McDonald's.
Yeah,
they still own all that land.
Of course they do.
Genius, man. The House of Ronald, man, because those arches, man, they got some power.
So let's see. After that, the Jets are in the top 5.
Does that surprise you, or just New York?
New York. It's New York,
New Jersey, but
but it's the New York fan base,
sure,
and
sure.
Again. These are fake numbers, and the reason why they're kind of fake numbers is Cowboys, Rams, Giants, Patriots, Niners, Jets is Johnson & Johnson. Didn't the Dolphins just sell? Or there was some
Stephen Ross bought him a handful of years ago. I think he still owns them.
But like none of these teams are coming up for sale. Like, so you can put the valuation on it all you want. Like, oh, the Cowboys are worth $10 billion. It doesn't matter. They could be worth $100 billion. Doesn't matter because Jerry Jones is not selling, and his kid's going to get it, and he's not going to sell either. So, lot of money in the NFL world. We are going to go into the college football world, where there is also a significant amount of money. But talked about the AP Top 10 yesterday. As is every season, someone from outside of the top 10 will likely end the season in the top 10. Some team in the preseason top 10 shall fall off. We will look into our Rip City Mornings crystal ball and give you our college football risers and fallers, the chutes and ladders of the top 25. That's next on 620 Rip City Radio. All right, so we had some fun yesterday with the top 25. And I went back and looked at last year's preseason top 25 and then last year's final rankings. So, as I said earlier, somebody in this top 10 is likely going to finish outside of the top 25. Somebody outside of the top 25 or somebody in the from 20 or below is likely going to finish in the top 10. Brenden, without looking, I'm putting you on the spot. This is very unfair. But without looking, can you guess who those teams were last year? There was a team that was outside of the top 25 that finished in the top 10, and there was a team in the top 10 that finished completely out of the top 25. And again, as I said earlier,
did Missouri hit the top 10?
Missouri did hit the top 10. That is incredible pull. Missouri ended the season at number 9.
Okay.
Now I did the week 15 rankings because the final rankings don't count anymore.
True.
It's a 4-team playoff, and a lot of times they go with their bowl win. Well, teams don't care about these bowl games, right? They get opt-outs, transfers. Coaches are recruiting. They're not coaching during the bowl game. So I went with the week 15 rankings.
Okay, I'll go with USC.
USC?
Wow.
USC started the season last year at number 6.
That doesn't. And they were.
They started the season at number 6. They ended outside of the top 25.
What, 8-5, 7-6, something like that?
There are 2 others that are also in the mix.
I wouldn't get any more. Those are the only 2 guesses. I'm 2 for 2, Justin. I got to shut it.
You would walk out on top.
Yeah, I got to shut it down, man. Got to shut it down.
So, incredibly close. Arizona did not receive a vote last year. Did not receive a vote last year.
They were so
ended
good.
the season 9-3 and was ranked 14th.
They had a good year.
Now, that's obviously not in the top 10. But to go from not receiving a vote, which is where Oregon State and Washington State are right now.
Nice to meet you.
Did not receive a vote to ending the season in the top 15. Pretty good. But, yeah, as we talked about, Missouri was number 9. Ole Miss ended the season number 11 last year. They started the season in the 20s at 22.
Okay.
Other big faller last year, which is going to be interesting as we talk about Clemson started the season at number 9.
Oh, yeah. They were unranked for a bit.
Ended the season at 22.
Remember Dabo?
8-4, and that's a generous 22 ranking for an 8-4 Clemson team.
Yeah, remember though, Justin, Dabo said buy stock. So all good, right? We still don't hit the transfer portal, but buy stock in Clemson football.
Well, let's find out, because are we buying or selling? Because we have now got, as I made a reference last segment to a beloved childhood game, which is Chutes and Ladders. And Brenden said, yeah, the kids don't play Chutes and Ladders anymore. Justin, you seem like you dated yourself again, which is fair.
But you have to say
once a show, I'm gonna date myself.
But you also have to say that I said it was a fantastic reference because
Yes.
I remember playing it so much as a kid. Chutes and Ladders, Sorry. Justin, was there more fun? Like, Sorry was the most passive-aggressive game that there was. It was like, you're sitting there playing a game and everyone goes,
Okay.
Sorry, and you
All right.
knock someone's piece off the board. So
More-
passive-aggressive.
More diabolical game. Sorry, or I had forgotten how mean-spirited Uno is.
Oh, it is.
I had completely
That's good.
forgotten how mean-spirited I was when I was with the family when we were in Hawaii.
Yeah.
It was, there was at the end, like we all stayed at an Airbnb. There was some hardcore Uno games that
I
were
bet.
going on.
I bet.
And I did not realize, because it had been a minute since I played old Uno, how mean that game is.
Well,
And it's
yeah.
like, hey, draw 4, and like,
It's real.
it is really like, that is a brutally savage game. So while Sorry may be a bit passive aggressive, I would say, man,
Uno's-
Sorry or Uno can hurt some feelings.
Oh, it can. Uno's up there. I remember many, many times when family members have left the table after some intense Yahtzee games.
I know how Yahtzee works in terms of like you roll the dice and you try to make you're trying to get a Yahtzee, obviously, but like how does it? I don't know how you would fight with each other.
Oh
though.
yeah,
is it over scoring discrepancies or
just? I think they're like it's in our family and anything. It was always just very board games, video. It was all just very competitive.
And
right?
then I would say the board game that caused the most family fights. It's got to be Monopoly.
Oh yeah,
it's got to be Monopoly because one, the game never ends.
It doesn't.
The game never ends. You would inevitably get to the point where somebody wants to quit. And somebody doesn't want to quit. That's usually the first fight, right? The first fight is like, are we done? And it's like, no, we're still playing. Because you can't because that's the other problem with Monopoly is if one person quits, the game is over. You can't just go like, all right, well, we'll keep playing. It's like, no, they've got like 5 properties. How do we divvy it? Like, we can't just have one person quit.
Sell off all their stuff.
Yeah.
Back to the bank.
There's that, and then just the fact that like the whole money thing, Monopoly had to cause the most fights. Chutes and Ladders though did not cause fights. So let's start with the shoots. And I'm sure that's what these coaches are thinking. Shoot, but probably saying the other word. Georgia, Ohio State, Oregon is your top 3 teams in the country, all receiving first-place votes. Texas, Alabama round out the top 5. After that, Ole Miss, Notre Dame, Penn State, Michigan, Florida State. There's your top 10. I believe one of those teams will finish outside of the top 25, as we talked about USC last year. I know who I think is going to finish outside of the top 25. Brenden, I'm curious about you. Who do you got of those 10 teams? Which would you rank most likely
top 10.
To finish out of the top 25, in the top 10?
So in the top 10, missing out of it at the end of the year.
Yes.
I have 2.
Or maybe even falling the most.
I have 2 that come to mind. Nobody in the top. I know some people yesterday were the days since it was released, since Monday, were like, Ole Miss is too high. I don't really have a problem with the top 6. I look at Notre Dame only because inevitably it's like, uniforms are magic. Notre Dame, they'll win 9-10 games. They're not going to be in the championship. Now, granted, 9-10 games, good enough to maybe get you in the playoffs. So different, but I'm going to go with Florida State, Justin.
You're Florida State.
And I'm going to say that because
I know why you say it. I know why you're saying it.
Them Tallahasseans, or as many office references this morning, Tallanasty. I think they're going to find out DJU is a solid but not elite quarterback. Like, it's not I'm not like he is. I would put it this way, Justin. With what I've seen in Corvallis, I would kill to still have DJU on Oregon State's roster.
Sure.
So that being said, I don't believe he's playoff title elite. I think Florida State lost a lot. I think they're going to be sitting about 8-4, 9-3 this year.
All right. I think we did this yesterday, but I was looking because you got to look at the schedule. Like, while so many things are changing in college football, schedules still matter. Who do you play away from home? Like, we joke that, like, uniforms are magic. Stadiums and atmospheres are magic. It is why is one of the 10,000 things that I love about college football. One of them is the fact that there are ghosts in some of these stadiums, right? Some of these places where just teams, you go in and you can't make rhyme nor reason of it. And you just, like, Oregon can't win in Arizona in November, right? Just like weird ghosts in some of these stadiums, and I'm sure they're all over the country.
Washington State for Oregon State every time.
It's a Pullman. It's just like something's like, I hate that Pullman trip.
Yeah, it's true.
But also, that Florida State on November the 9th in South Bend, Indiana, against Notre Dame, that's going to be a tough game. It's going to be a tough game, regardless of where Notre Dame ends up this season. Regardless of where the fight, that is a Florida team going to Indiana in November in what is going to be a a huge matchup that week. So you got
cold, like you said, very cold.
Cold,
yes,
but also like a tough place to play. Other than that game, and you have the rivalry game against Miami in now it's in Hard Rock Stadium because the Orange Bowl has been destroyed.
I heard they have a pretty good running back and a pretty good quarterback down in Miami. Just what I've heard.
Okay. You buying Cam Ward as a big-time quarterback?
They're going to be really
because
good.
I can make the same things that you talked about with DJU. I think you can make the same claim to Cam Ward. I know he threw a gajillion yards against Oregon a couple years ago, but he has never struck me as a guy who is going to be able to lead a team to the college football playoff, which is where the expectations are for Miami this year.
Fair.
They don't make the college football playoff with 12 teams. Mario, what's going now? They put too much money in with Mario Cristobal, so they're not going to fire him. He's not exactly on the Dabo plan, but
I think
he's gonna. I believe his buyout is very secure, but the tide could turn. The Cam Ward thing. I believe that Damian Martinez is a big time, high level. He's going to be an incredible NFL running back. I don't know if I'm buying Cam Ward.
That's fair.
Not buying Cam Ward.
Yeah, and I think with that, you got to look back to Mario Cristobal and why I still think they'll be successful. Is as boring as it was, Damian Martinez, he stays healthy. Mm-hmm. He's going to get 30, 35 carries a game. That's just how Mario runs his offense, and they're going to run the ball a lot. And
I just think of like Cam Ward. The thing that did kind of make him exciting and special was they kind of let him cook a little bit at Wazoo. He ain't cooking anywhere.
So it's interesting.
We are not an artistic offense. We are a paint by numbers.
Miami's got a pretty easy schedule though, Justin. When I don't know if you've clicked into that, they only have one ranked team as of now. Like, if I'm Mario and the boys, man, it might be bringing back the U this year.
Okay, so this is a risky. This is a roll of the dice. All right, roll of the dice. My team that I do not believe that is in the top 10 that will finish in the top 10 is Michigan. Now, here's why Michigan is a roll of the dice. One, I know they're replacing J.J. McCarthy, and they're replacing a big chunk of their offense. Their defense still, they hammered the portal, and they got a ton of dudes on defense. Now, that being said, they just announced that Jim Harbaugh will now not be returning to celebrate the national championship with the team against Fresno State. The allegations, I still believe in distractions. I do. I believe teams, because you're dealing with college kids. NFL, the New York Jets are not going to be distracted by the Reddick deal. Do you know what I mean? Like they're going to figure it out. He's either going to play or he's not, but they're going to go about their business because they're professionals. These are grown adult men who are professionals. That's why holdouts never cause problems in locker rooms in the NFL because it is a business, man. Jay-Z. That being said, distractions are a deal in college football because you're dealing with kids. You are dealing with, emotionally, they're not there yet. And I got to imagine show cause penalty. The Connor Stallions thing is about to come out. Everybody is going, just like the Houston Astros. The Michigan Wolverines shall be the Houston Astros of college football. Every jealous, envious Big Ten school is, after this Connor Stallions thing comes out, is going to essentially say fraudulent title, cheating, just like everybody did with the Astros. That's either going to turn them into a mess, or this is why it's a roll of the dice. Brenden, they might circle the wagons and just run roughshod over everybody and go us against the world. It is all going to be determined by how good of a coach Sherrone Moore is. That being said, they got Texas week 2. That's going to be a tough win.
Well, I mean, that being said,
you got USC week 4. That's, I believe, going to be a tough win. Minnesota is still somewhat of a rivalry game at Washington. That's a long trip. I'm not buying that the Huskies are going to be all that bad this year. I massively worry about the Huskies. You got to go. You got Oregon. You got Ohio State. There's five 5 potential losses, and that's not counting a stumble against, at Illinois or at Indiana. 7-5 gets you out of the top 25.
Lovey's still at Illinois?
Yeah. They might not be too bad.
Like
They're one of those teams where it's like you get a team at home, you've turned the ball over a couple of times, they'll beat you.
As you talked about it when we looked at Oregon State's schedule, the only team in the Big Ten that's kind of expected to be bad
is Purdue.
Yeah. And
even Indiana had 3 wins last year, but they got a new coach in the guy from JMU.
Kirk Cignetti. Yes.
And that dude's won everywhere he's been. Can he win at Indiana? We'll see. But, yeah, I think there's 5 losses out there for Michigan. And I think 5 losses get you out of the top 25.
That would be so insane. Michigan fans would be like, so our coach is gone, coaching Justin Herbert. We're still getting in trouble from the NCAA, and we won 7 games.
Exactly.
There'd be some problems in Ann Arbor, Justin.
It really, really would be. All right, now this next one, I'll be perfectly honest. Kind of a guess. Kind of a guess. But outside of the top 20, let's say, I'll give you to the top 20. All of the others receiving votes, all of the top 20. Who ends up in the top 10? I got a weird one.
I got to go with my guys. It's easy, but Utah, you said anything, or you say 15 and below.
Utah's 12.
So is that? Did you say 10 and below, or
I said 20 and below?
Okay,
we could go to extend it to 15 and below. Sure. I'm not going to let you put a top. Utah 12.
No, it's fine. No, like I said, just need to.
And they'll probably will end up in the top 10 though.
I will. Okay, I already doubled down. I'm gonna go with Miami, man. Like I said, I kind of believe in them this year at 19. If we want to go truly 20s, give me Arizona. Still got Fafita. Still got McMillan.
Arizona. So they're the Wildcats, but they are a wild card team. They really are, because if Jed Fish never left. They kept Fafita, and they kept who's the other guy they kept?
T. McMillan, yeah.
They would be projected to be one of the top teams in the Big 12.
Would they be preseason
top? But Jed Fish left, and he also took a lot of them.
Some good players. Yeah, he did. Who was your team? So you go there?
I'm going Iowa State.
Ooh.
I'm going Iowa State.
Okay, the Fighting Cyclones.
The Cyclones. Iowa State's out of the top 25. Last year, Iowa State was terrible out of the gates, and then kind of figured it out and nearly pulled off the upset against Texas. Ended the season, I think, with 7 wins. And I think Matt Campbell's a good coach. I do. I think Matt Campbell's a good coach.
It won't be Colorado, right?
It will not be Colorado. Colorado will not be in the top 10. Colorado will be lucky to go to a bowl game this year. I thought we could get through one college football segment without talking about Colorado, a team that had 1 conference win last year, but still.
Someone gave a vote. Classic.
We've never seen anything like this. I'm looking up at my TV, and I'm seeing on Get Up right now.
It's like our ears are burning.
Burning questions. What will Deion Sanders do in second season at Colorado? He's going to win about 5 games. He's going to win 5 games. And it's fun, and that's fine. But
they showed Colorado's.
That's what they're going to do.
They showed Colorado's only score against Oregon in that highlight package too, Justin. I go, it must have been the one they had that day.
It was late in the fourth quarter.
But yeah,
I think I was already out of the stadium by then. But
you like I
like Iowa State.
Iowa State's sneaky good. That's a good pick.
Because one, I think Matt Campbell's a good coach, and like I said, I went back and I looked, and I was trying to find out of the box pick, because another one. There's a lot of chatter about NC State. There's a lot of chatter about NC State, and NC State plays Tennessee week 2, and then they play at Clemson week 4. They win those games. All of a sudden, boom, look out for the Wolfpack. They lose one of those games. Then, because they're NC State, they get forgotten about. But I'm sticking with the Cyclones, sticking with Iowa State. Surprise team in the Big 12 this year. All right, there you go. There's our chutes and ladders. There's our Michigan. They either rally the troops and just beat the dog out of everybody, or they fall apart and they go to 7-5. I'm betting on the 7-5. We are going to be going on campus. We continue our countdown to kickoff. More tough news for Michigan, only this time it's not really that big of a deal. We'll talk about that next. 620 Rip City Radio. All right, time to wrap up hour number 1 as we continue our countdown to kick off the day. The day count is 17. 17 days away from Oregon and Oregon State kicking off their season. Interestingly enough, both against Idaho schools at Autzen and at Reser Stadium. So we
I thought it was going to be rough that day.
Boy,
just thinking about that ahead of time, I'm like,
When's the Beaver kickoff?
Beavers is 3:30.
I thought it was going to be awful.
What time's Oregon?
I think 4:30. It's going to be terrible. Oh, it's going to be terrible.
That's gonna hurt.
Because no big deal. It's Labor Day weekend too. Nobody's traveling on that weekend, right? Nobody likes to get on the freeway that
Great.
weekend.
I just gave myself a 17-day away stress, Justin.
Well, the Beav kickoff is earlier, and you go down early anyways, but like, yeah, I can only imagine what Enchanted Forest is going to be like.
Yeah, there needs to be like a 3-hour gap. There always needs to be. When they play at home, they need to be 3 hours apart.
Anyways, 17 days away, though, from college football kicking off. Now, Michigan has been in the news. Maybe you've heard a couple of different things. Jim Harbaugh kind of got punished. So if you ever come back to college football, you're going to be in trouble. He's like, fine, I will never go back then. It's like being 86 from a bar you're never going to go back to. You can't ever come here again. It's like, great, I'm never coming back to this bar ever again. So he kind of got punished. Connor Stallions thing is, I think, like we're a week and a half away from the Connor Stallions Netflix show. New controversy at Michigan. It's time for us to go on campus. All right, so much like has become the norm in almost every college football stadium this season, Michigan and the Big House, which seats 100,000 plus people, shall be selling beer. It's apparently it was not a thing in Michigan for a long, long time.
Poor
Forever.
Michiganites.
So Michigan is now joining the ranks, much like Autzen, much like Reser, and they are getting roasted for their beer prices. Now, again, this is Midwest, because you go and you think about what a beer costs at Moda Center or go up to CenturyLink or go up to T-Mobile Park. Now, T-Mobile Park does have they do have the value beers.
Oh, so great.
They have the value beers, but I've also been to some NFL games.
Crush some value beers.
And I was at a concert on Friday. That's where they get you at the concerts, because they know. So Michigan Stadium will start selling beer $12.25 for a 16-ounce domestic beer. That is the bottom beer price at Michigan Stadium, $12.25. Much like the rest of college football, alcohol sales will start 1 hour before kickoff. They end after the fourth quarter. Brenden, Michigan fans are furious. See, now I saw that and I thought, yeah, feels about right. It feels about right. You go to a game, beers are going to be 10, 11, $12. Now, there was a list of beer prices in college football. Somehow, somewhere, Oregon and Autzen Stadium got listed at around $5 or $6. And I can tell you from firsthand knowledge that is not the truth. Because I drink beers at Autzen Stadium, and I've never paid $5 for one. Maybe there's a special line that I need to get in. Maybe there's a special handshake I need to do. I don't know. But those numbers have been skewed. $12.25 feels like a lot, but it also is like kind of sign of the times. Well, you want our NIL to continue to pay for quarterbacks and transfers? $12 beers. Do you think, Brenden, football fans would be more, college football fans especially, would be more accepting of ridiculous beer prices if they knew that money went straight to NIL?
Yes, without a doubt.
What do you think? Let's play a fun game. Let's play a game of economics here. Supply and demand. Alabama fans, what do you think the highest price they would pay if they knew that every profit off of beer sales at Bryant-Denny Stadium went directly into the NIL budget? Think they'd be willing to pay $20 beers? I think they would.
If you could directly say this, goes in the players' pockets, absolutely.
Could you imagine, the first team to do that? By the way, college football, you're welcome. Steal this idea. I'm just the idea guy here. But you just have NIL beers, and just that, every bit of profit from these beers, after we pay off the supplier and pay off all the the beer tenders and all of that. All that money goes directly to people. Be more than happy to pay $12. They might start giving extra. While you are a Big J journalist and you do not buy beers at Reser Stadium, do you know the prices they got down there? Have you heard? Are they below $10?
I think you're right about $10 for your Coors Light, and you're getting more to like 14 for like White Claws, cans, IPAs, stuff of that nature.
You can't be drinking IPAs at the game. You can't
just in these streets.
It's a volume game. You can't be drinking IPAs at the game. That is gonna. You know how it happens when you end up drinking IPAs at the game?
You have to go to the bathroom
under a table.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah,
at Reser Stadium.
Sure do.
You end up going to the bathroom, and
if you know, you know. No, you know, Beaver fans.
What's that guy doing?
Clearly, he didn't get in trouble. We would have found out about it.
And he luckiest man alive. And I'll tell you why.
Alive.
The camera view. No, I shouldn't say luckiest man alive. Luckiest Oregon State fan.
Fair.
Because the camera view of the guy at the Oregon State-Washington game in the middle of the concourse just letting it go only got the back of his head.
Yep.
Well, and it was the rainiest game ever.
Covered up.
Had the poncho.
Yep.
Had the poncho so somebody knows who that is.
Yeah, they do.
Aren't saying, but the internet couldn't find out. The poor drunk guy at the Washington State game years ago, remember him with the popcorn? They found that guy, and he was like, yeah, it was kind of a bad day for me. It's pretty embarrassing. Beaver fan that urinated under a table, still anonymous.
Yeah, bad.
Still anonymous. All right. We may have some Brenden Ayuk news or maybe potential news coming up in hour number 2. We've got to make or miss. We've got stuff we saw on the internet. Jam-packed hour number 2 next. 620 Rip City Radio.
7 a.m. here on a Wednesday morning. Brenden Slaughter with you. Vikings rookie quarterback J.J. McCarthy needs surgery on his right knee after an MRI revealed a meniscus injury. The full extent of the injury will not be known until surgery and whether or not it is a short timeline or a longer one. In the meantime, Sam Darnold is up at quarterback for the Vikings. And training camp injuries hit Texas football hard as the Longhorns lost two rotation running backs to season-ending knee and Achilles injuries in the last week. So Steve Sarkisian and company going to have a next man approach in the backfield. Coming up, we're going to be talking about a whole bunch of topics. Third hour, we're going to have Tyson Alger on the show. You've got Rip City Mornings on a Wednesday.
And welcome back to Rip City Mornings, everybody. Hopefully you are having a fantastic Wednesday. We got Make or Miss coming up in 20 minutes. Stuff we saw on the internet coming up in about 45 minutes. Watched Hard Knocks last night. Happens every year. Happens every year, Brenden. Hard Knocks will dupe you. I'm starting to buy into the Bears. I don't know. Because I know it's a highlight reel, and I know it's a show that is there to showcase the team, but it's also a show that if Caleb Williams was really just dragging through camp, I mean, they would show it. But I watched Hard Knocks last night. Caleb Williams to Rome Odunze over the next 10 years is going to be a problem. Man, maybe 5 years.
Some of us saw that coming.
Those two guys, and then you have DJ Moore, and then you have Keenan Allen, and it's like, they're going to be a problem.
Yep, they will be.
Can Caleb Williams...
Matt Eberflus coach?
Well, it's more than that. Can Caleb Williams get past what I think the toughest part for rookie quarterbacks? And somehow, some way, C.J. Stroud got past this and had one of the greatest rookie seasons of all time. And there's always the case of Peyton Manning, right? Peyton Manning threw the most interceptions of any quarterback ever in a season his rookie year. No one has ever thrown more interceptions than Peyton Manning threw his rookie year. And QBs that come from college, whether it's Bo Nix, whether it's Michael Penix, whether it's Caleb Williams, whether it's Jaden Daniels, these guys come in and they are riding high. Physically, they have just been better than everybody most of their lives. And then you are going to go to the NFL and you are going to throw interceptions. It's going to happen. If you are a rookie quarterback, you are going to throw interceptions at probably a rate you have never thrown interceptions in your entire life. Can you get past that mental hurdle? Physically, I don't know if I've seen a better quarterback. And I'm being 100% completely honest. I've seen a lot of really good quarterbacks. Last year at Autzen Stadium, in a losing effort, Caleb Williams made throws I've never seen a college quarterback make. But as we have seen with other guys, highlight reel throws aren't what win games. What win games are throws in tight windows. What win games is game management. What win games is execution, decision-making, film, all that stuff. But more importantly, every great, heck, even good quarterback has one thing in common. Supreme confidence. Supreme confidence. No quarterback has ever been great thinking they were mediocre. Every quarterback, even like the Kirk Cousins, shucks, I wear my Walmart shirts and I hang out with my family. I don't know why I gave Kirk Cousins a Southern accent, but
yeah, Michigan State guy, yeah, he
really
got it
fair.
right. It's a little like Brian Kelly, right?
Every time I just say, well, he's plays for Atlanta now, so maybe he's developed a Georgia drawl.
I love it.
Like molasses coming out your mouth. But that's more Savannah than Atlanta, I guess. But
the office is getting a lot of pub this morning.
A lot of pub. But, even Kirk Cousins, shucks, I'm just a dad. That guy has supreme and utter confidence in his ability to throw football. And you can't get to a point where you can win games in the NFL if you don't have that. And I think that is what can break rookie quarterbacks is you're going to throw picks. It's going to happen. You're going to throw picks. Can you get past it? Can you, but like, has Kyler Murray, he threw a handful of picks. He didn't seem like a guy that's ever quite got past it. You know what I mean? We make fun of Russell Wilson all the time. Not so much anymore because he's going to be the MVP this year. But, we make fun of Russell Wilson because of the whole no bad vibes, positive only. And he takes it to a crazy extreme where it's got to drive fans nuts, where it's like he's thrown his third pick and he's like, we're all right, we'll get him next time. But you have to be like that, especially young. So my thing with Caleb Williams is he's going to throw picks. He just is. He throws off his back foot a ton. He throws across his body a ton. And he can, for years, both at Oklahoma and at USC and in a Heisman Trophy winning season, Caleb Williams was able to just out-physically talent college football defenses by throwing off his back foot, throwing across his body. But you do that in the NFL, you're going to get picked. And there's a mental hurdle to that, and there's also a physical hurdle. Then you learn, okay, I can't ever do that again. Yes, Brenden.
Totally agree on Caleb Williams. And just, something that I mentioned when we were talking about his debut on Monday was, we've talked about, I've had the privilege and pleasure of seeing some really great quarterbacks play, not just at Oregon State, but their opponents. Like, now in hindsight, it's like, yeah, it was pretty cool. I got to see Jared Goff play. That guy was actually really good at Cal, despite Cal being terrible, and now we're seeing it, right? And with Caleb Williams, Justin, pound for pound, and your team found this out too. Oregon State's defense was elite in 2022.
Yeah,
absolutely elite. And USC, you go back and look at their schedule: 30, 40, 50 points a game, 17 against Oregon State. They won that game, but you
need a fourth down conversion to do it, to move the sticks.
I call it the Williams push now.
Yep.
But like in that game, Justin, like he made throws like Oregon State had the literal perfect defensive game plan, and there were times where it's like, I'm just a little more athletic than every one of you, and I can make that play. I mean, he's special in college, and we've seen it now. Like, I think he's going to be a really good player. I really do.
I think he is too. To me, like I said, the biggest key is going to be how do you respond to throwing picks. Same thing I think with Bo Nix. By the way, I was right. And also Chad Doing, who I talked to last week, was right as well. We were both right. Like, he's going to be the quarterback one. After he's now ranked QB1, he's going to be the starting quarterback for the Broncos.
Will he throw as many picks as Peyton Manning?
No.
I had to look.
Nobody can. Nobody can. I don't think that record's ever going to be broken.
It was 26 touchdowns to 28 picks. I had to look at it.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah.
Because what it's going to take is you start them, they throw picks, you keep throwing them back out there, right? So at some point in time, Bo Nix throws, or Caleb Williams throws, or Jaden Daniels throws 18 picks, they're getting benched. It just are. They're just going to get benched. It's going. I don't know if you can continue to run your rookie out there, but back in 1999 or 1998, it's a different league. And Peyton Manning was also, he was a different special type of player. But it took getting past that initial, like, oh my God, because running backs and quarterbacks, they say if you've never fumbled the ball, you're not running the ball. I heard, I think Arian Foster said that. I was listening. He was on some. He said, if you never fumbled the ball, then you've never carried the ball. He said, running backs, you have to be able to get past fumbles. They are going to happen. Can't let it be a problem, but you got to get past it. And I think the same thing with quarterbacks. If you've never thrown a pick, then guess what? You're not playing quarterback. You're not pushing the limit enough. You have to learn where the line is. And as a rookie, you're going to get picked off. You're going to get picked off a handful of times. Can you get past that mentally? And I think certain guys never could. I think Zach Wilson was a guy that was kind of used to being able to make perfect throws at all times. We saw the video, right? The famous Zach Wilson against air, but he's rolling to his right. Look at this, 60 yards on a dime. It's like, yeah, that's picked off in the NFL. That throw that kind of made him YouTube famous, that throw's picked off in the NFL because you're throwing back across your body. And if you can't get over the fact that you're going to get picked off, well, you're not going to. NFL, not for long. That's what they say. You can't get over that fact. That being said, if Hard Knocks is a barometer, Caleb Williams is going to be pretty good.
I think so too.
I think he's going to be pretty good. But I was trying to think.
And it's just the weapons.
I was trying to think of like best quarterbacks college. Saw Andrew Luck play. He didn't have a very good day against Oregon.
Andrew Luck?
But I saw Andrew Luck play. He was incredible.
Yeah,
his sophomore year, redshirt freshman year.
Yeah, he had one really
incredible,
one really elite game against Oregon State. One game where Oregon State handed him his lunch, so that was kind of cool. Like I said, Luck, Goff come to mind just because Jared Goff. I mean, Jared Goff right now, maybe not top 5. He's top 10 quarterback. Lions are going to be great this year. Who else?
I saw Carson Palmer play. He won the Heisman. He ultimately win the Heisman that year. Carson, God, he put it on Oregon that day.
Obviously, yeah. We're talking guys who went to the NFL too, right? So,
well, in college, right? Like, best guy that you've ever seen play, they're usually going to probably go to the NFL. But I will say outside, he didn't have the greatest day, but Auburn Cam Newton, 2010 Cam Newton, and
Marcus Mariota did things on a football field that was extremely impressive. I just think back to my real nitty-gritty days of being, diehard fandom, and Marcus was elite in 2014. And obviously, injuries happened, but seeing him with these zone peepers.
Yeah, Marcus was unbelievable. I mean, I'm buying, Bo Nix last year was elite.
Not wrong. Elite. No, you're not wrong.
He was one half of football away from winning the Heisman Trophy, and that happened to be the first half against Washington in the Pac-12 title game. One half of football. He's elite.
You take away Michael Penix, what happens to Oregon last year? Just remove him like a claw machine. Just remove him and drop him.
We talk about the butterfly effect all the time. It's like, man, couldn't Michael Penix have just stayed in Indiana? Could he found some nice girl there and never hurt his knee and just had him?
Kirk Cignetti could be balling with him this year.
Stayed in Indiana.
Yeah.
What might Oregon's life be like if Michael Penix just never left Indiana ever? All right, coming up next, we have got Make or Miss on the Big Show, 620 Rip City Radio. All right, coming up 1 hour from now, our good friend Tyson Alger is going to be joining the big show. You know, we had the clip from Deion Sanders yesterday where he told the one guy, "It's like, yeah, I don't talk to anybody from CBS." By the way, mystery's still out there. Nobody knows exactly why Deion Sanders is so mad at CBS. Do you think it's because of the way that How I Met Your Mother ended? I think that might be it. Wouldn't that be hilarious? Wouldn't it be hilarious if it was like, you're from CBS? I ain't talking to anybody from CBS. What happened? Was it just see the way they ended How I Met Your Mother? I'm never talking to you ever again. That'd be hilarious. But
I mean, I just can't leave him, Justin, because yesterday, okay, this I use this reference quite often, but yesterday, post this show, I'm just sitting at home enjoying my breakfast. And
where'd you go, Wendy's?
I did. I did.
I knew it.
Good guess. Good guess. It was one of the times this week. But I'm sitting there.
What do you get at Wendy's? What do you get at Wendy's for breakfast?
Yeah, I usually like
same thing every time.
No, shake it up.
Shake it up.
Yeah, I like they got good croissants, like egg and bacon and all that kind of like croissants. Sometimes I'll splurge for the French toast sticks. Yeah, but mostly like egg sandwiches, muffins. But anyways, I'm sitting there and I'm like watching just something on Hulu and the commercial comes through and I'm like, what? Do you know Deion is the voice of the Pigeon advertising DirecTV now? Like, I can't leave Deion. Okay. Like, you've seen him in the all Aflac commercials and all that, but like now DirecTV, it's like this big old commercial. It's like, oh yeah, Deion's the voice of the Pigeon. The little pigeon has a cowboy hat and a little Deion chain and everything. And I'm like, I cannot, like, they are marketing him so ridiculously, Josh. I can't escape Deion.
You have had, and I'm not saying you're wrong. You have had this thought. I have had this thought. I know Washington fans have had this thought because my wife has told me multiple times in big games in recent times, whether it was Civil War last year, whether it was the Pac-12 title game 3 years ago, whether it was the national title game, all games in which Oregon State, Oregon, and Washington lost and then their coach would leave very soon after, the idea that, seemed a bit distracted, didn't seem to be completely committed, didn't seem to be all in. And I'm not saying that's a wrong thought, but compared to the distractions that Deion Sanders has had as a head coach, I mean, I don't know. Maybe he is just a special guy who is capable of multitasking at a incredibly high level. But you think about what you thought of Jonathan Smith, especially that performance that Oregon State put on at Autzen Stadium last year.
That was great,
I think about Mario Cristobal and what Oregon did in that Pac-12 title game against Utah. And then, to see him 2 days later in what looked like a hostage video because he was clearly on a plane to Miami, even though he hadn't quite signed the contract with Miami yet, so he had to pretend like he was going to coach in the Alamo Bowl. And then Washington last year in that national title game against Michigan, only to have Kalen DeBoer. And then what really kind of sealed it for Washington fans was that they found out that Kalen DeBoer was meeting with Alabama at the national title game. Right. Like before the game, He was meeting with Alabama. What do you think about a coach that goes on a book tour?
Yeah.
Or is in, again, now Nick Saban, I'm sure he's been in the Aflac commercials too. But Nick Saban's got a whole bunch of rings. Anyways, the reason I brought up Deion Sanders is because I'm wondering if Tyson Alger's ever had, I wonder what his most contentious question was to a coach or contentious moment. Because that guy from CBS Denver didn't do anything wrong. He's just sitting there going like, hey, CBS, blah, 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 Denver. And he's like, yeah, I don't do anything with CBS. It's like, yeah, you're an affiliate. Do you know how... Clearly, he doesn't know how affiliates work, but that's neither here nor there. So it wasn't like the guy, but wonder if it ever got weird with Alger at a press conference. I'm going to talk to him about that.
Yeah.
Plus, get his thoughts on.
I've never had I've talked to a lot of coaches, Justin, and you have too. But coaches.
So I've never had to do the scrum. I've done it a handful of times, but usually when I get a chance to talk to a coach, it's in this format, and I can have a one-on-one conversation. And
right, that makes sense.
I don't want to tick anybody off.
But yeah, there was one yesterday that I thought was pretty interesting, and one that I'll maybe share with you between segments, Justin.
No, you're not gonna say it right now.
No, we'll hold it.
Okay,
but just that, like yesterday, I saw on a scrum where a coach was like kind of talking back to a reporter a little bit, and was like, "Yeah, no, well, I answered your question." So
this is like
sorry, go ahead.
At camp, it's like testy time right now.
It is.
Everybody's kind of ticked off at each other.
Yeah, because I'm sorry.
Because all the coaches have I don't know this coach you're talking about. I'm assuming a question, as they say in courtroom dramas, asked and answered.
Yes.
Like, you've asked me 4 times, right? I've been here. I come here every day. I'm answering the same questions every single day. It's the most monotonous thing about my job. And I think every coach is just going to get a little snappy. You know what I mean?
But yeah, it was just one of those things that I found was surprising because it's like you said, camp's getting testy, but at the same token, just like the NFL, and this was my point with Dion, you have to treat the media right. That is I'm not saying you need to open practice and all that stuff, but I know this. We are there to do a job. You are there to do a job. Don't make a big old deal out of it. It's just I hate coaches that are like that.
I mostly agree with you. There is another part of it, which is where we say winners get sprinkles. You win, you get to be a little testy. You know, you don't win, you seem a little soft. Anyways, all that being said, Tyson Alger is going to be joining the show. Excited to talk to him. Right now, it's time for Make or Miss.
All right, firing up Make or Miss here on a Wednesday, Justin. Let's circle back to something that we didn't quite get into, but something that's fascinating to talk about. The Moda Center sale.
Okay.
Means the team sale is getting closer. I mean, we are 5 years into the 20, so that's not an incorrect statement.
So I think there's 2 things, and it could also be both. But I think there's 2 ways to look at it. Because I believe Ted Wheeler even came out and said, now that the Moda Center has been sold to the city, how much did they sell it for? Do we know?
$7 million, I think.
$7 million? It seems like a bargain, doesn't it? But now that the city owns the Moda Center, they can move forward in terms of renovating the Moda Center area, which, as I have been screaming at the top of my lungs into this microphone, the Moda Center needs to be the heart of the city. It has to be. It's right there. The fact that there is not significant development around Moda Center where 41 NBA basketball games are played every single year, multiple concerts and events, all year long, from monster trucks to Monday Night Raw, and the fact that there are 100 plus, if not more, days where there is an ample audience at that particular part of town, how there is not significant development around there is a failure. It's a failure. Now, I'm sure there is red tape and there is hurdles and there are things, and this is why I get frustrated with it. But the fact that it's not, so it sounds like either A, like you said, maybe this is tipping off a potential sale, or B, maybe this is the start of the development around Moda Center, Rose Quarter, should be called Rip City Limits.
Couldn't agree more.
And
Justin
and so the fact is, I think the city is like, well, we can't get in and develop if we don't own the building. So,
and just to be clear though, Justin, I forgot to tell you, also very important update for you. I heard back the trademark office is awaiting to give you the stamp of approval, but you were first for Rip City Limits. So
yeah, I was.
Just say, the Blazers will have to pay your royalty.
Again, as someone who frequents that, I go to concerts.
You do? A lot more than I do.
I went to a handful of games.
You go to Moda Center a lot more than most. Yeah, even more than movie theaters, which is kind of interesting.
I have been to Moda Center more times than I've been to a movie theater in the last 2 years. That is easily.
I haven't.
I would love to be able to go and have dinner and drinks pre-game or pre-concert or after a game, hang out and on a Friday or a Saturday night and get some drinks. I go to a lot of sports bars, So
you want to create a district where you can go hang out all day?
Yes.
And just be able to chill. Be like, hey.
And if there is an event, it's like, hey, I can get there early. We can
agree.
The fact that, and multiple options, and make it a destination part of the city. The fact that it hasn't been is a failure. And I don't know who the failure is on, but it's a failure. So hopefully this shall be the first of the dominoes to fall to get Rip City Limits up and going. Again, I act like I just invented it. But either that or maybe B, it is the first step in a sale. I don't know. But hopefully, either reason, more positivity can ultimately come from this in terms of developing that part of the city. Also, I really like spending other people's money.
We're pretty good at that.
Really like spending other people's money.
Yeah, like you and I are pretty good at that. Whether it's we've spent Bill Knight's money. I have spent Jensen Huang's money from NVIDIA. Still waiting to see what's going on with that money. It's just it's so much fun to spend rich people's money.
It really is.
Yeah,
as an Oregon fan, I benefit from Phil Knight's money. Because of awesome facilities I get to watch Oregon athletics in. And I've also been around some of these newer stadium development areas where they're like, yep, we're bringing in all these real estate. And I know that there are cracked eggs to every omelet, and you can't just say, hey, let's put in restaurants and bars and everybody's going to win. There's displaced. I get it, but Moda Center's been around for a while. It's been around for a while. It's still a good building. It's a good part of town. It's centrally located. Let's just start. Let's start the process. I've said this enough. This has been my TED Talk again. What do we got next?
It's kind of funny, Justin. I got to give a shout out to Larry Miller on Twitter, one of our longtime.
He figured you out.
He did. He knew exactly what I was alluding to. Yes.
All right. So now that he threw it out there, what is Ryan Gunderson mad about?
Well, I got the clip. So why don't we just play it? How about that?
All right. So this is from Oregon State football yesterday.
It is.
Okay.
So yes, it's about 30 seconds.
Perfect.
In the scrimmage on Saturday, it seemed like Jabari's kind of looking like he should get some more reps as a one. So you see that thing?
I don't know. It's your opinion. I'm the coach, and I know. I'm telling you, I'm rotating them how I think they need to be rotated.
What about him? Is impressed?
Okay.
Shut down, man.
I took
testing this
at one point. And I don't want to critique another person's work because can I tell you, I've done the dumbest things in interviews. All right, so calling myself out. But I took an interview seminar one time, and you learn things, and you were taught things about. They're called trigger words. This was before trigger warnings was a thing in our lives.
You couldn't get triggered.
This was before, but there is a thing, right, where if you were to go back and listen, and you hear. And I'm sure whomever that reporter was, I don't know who it was, but I'm sure they do a very good job. And I don't want to call out a fellow media member. Didn't sound like you, though.
No, it was not me. If it was, I would have owned it. I would own it, for sure.
You can't. And I don't think this is what they were alluding to, but it sounded like the reporter was telling Ryan Gunderson so-and-so should be playing with the ones. And Ryan Gunderson was like, you're not going to tell me anything.
I'm the coach. Like when someone goes, I'm the coach and I'm like that, it made me perk up my ear a little bit just because like this interview was like what Justin said about 20 minutes ago is perfect. We are now in
what I said.
We are now in the part of fall camp where everybody is testing.
Everybody's testing.
Right? Everyone's already tired of talking to the media. Hey, keep talking to us. I love it. But you know what I mean? Like they're like, one more scrimmage, then we don't have to hit each other anymore. So, that golden stage of camp, Justin, how long does that last? The honeymoon phase? Is that a week? About the first week? Like, what's the honeymoon or first day?
I'll give it 3 days. I give it 3 days. When do they usually do the first scrimmage? Like by the first scrimmage,
Beavers just had theirs this last Saturday. That was about after 8 practices.
Because so everybody by the time is like, hey, it's good to be back at school, right? Then by about day 4, everybody wants to know progress. And you know what coaches do not want to tell you? Progress. They don't want to give anybody any updates on progress, and that's where Dan Lanning is a master of this, and I don't know how he got his superpower, but it's like, defense was good, but you know what? The offense was pretty good too, and we're just getting better every day, and it never ever or the other part of it is sometimes coaches want to send a message, and they'll come out and they'll be like, defense really took the day today. We really put it just because he wants his offense
right to get in gear a little bit.
To get it figured out, and sometimes, but I can tell you right now, coaches don't want to be told who should be playing and who should not be playing.
Yeah,
and I know that's not it was probably just a poor phrasing.
Yes,
as somebody who has poor phrasing, just might have phrased something poorly with my wife yesterday and didn't end well.
Oh no,
was ultimately resolved.
Oh, good.
My fault. Phrasing.
Yep. Intent and phrasing.
And when you phrase something to a coach to be like, it looks like. Who is he? Is it a running back?
Yeah, they were talking about Jabari Johnson maybe he's the kind of one of the 3 quarterbacks in the mix this year, getting more reps with the ones.
Reps with and it was a quarterback talk to? Yeah.
It's like, it's tough. But that being said, you also, we'll close with this.
And I'll give Ryan Gunderson credit.
Is that very Chip Kelly-esque? Coming from the Chip brain trust man?
Chip Kelly would be like, no. And it would just.
Move on. No.
It looked like so-and-so should be with the ones. Do you see that? No. That's what he would do. He would shut it down.
It's 100% true.
But I kind of on Gunderson's side there. It's tough. I'm watching a lot of film, guys. Okay, a lot.
Yeah, it's like more than we're seeing at practice.
I got a whole thing.
Yeah.
I got a whole. We've put this plan in place since the spring.
Totally.
We're kind of working through it here, and I know you saw about 2 or 3 good plays.
Yeah.
When we let you.
Yeah.
But I don't know if you should say who should be playing.
Yeah, and you know what's interesting too is you mentioned this.
But I also feel bad because. I would have asked a dumb question, too.
Well, just what they say. You got to have some training before you jump into the scrum, right? But no, to that point, and I want to close on this because I thought this was kind of interesting, too, is talking about fall camp and the intensity of it.
Who's going to win that job?
I have no idea.
No idea. Is this?
If you put my feet to the fire right now, I probably couldn't give you a name. I need another. We need this week in this scrimmage.
I was thinking about this with Oregon. The last time I think. No, obviously I know who Oregon's quarterback's going to be this time.
It's true. This guy's pretty good.
Yeah, Dylan Gabriel's going to be the quarterback. But the last true actual quarterback competition that Oregon had, it wasn't even.
Prukop got that job wide open?
Prukop had the job when he transferred in, and it was Vernon Adams before that. It was Darren Thomas versus Nate Costa.
What a name.
Which was it was like legit, nobody knew.
What a name.
Nobody knew and then the week before, Chip came out and said Darren Thomas is going to be the quarterback.
Yeah, they're going to take
and then Marcus took over for the next 3 years, and then Vernon Adams came in. Herbert would win the job after that, but it wasn't a competition because nobody expected a true freshman from Sheldon, who nobody else recruited, to actually be in the mix. And
do you remember Willie Taggart saying, Justin Herbert's not number one?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because he had a floating depth chart. And he said he's now at QB2 today. That lasted for about
You're like, okay,
8 hours.
Sure.
He's also trying to get, I think it was Travis Johnson was the guy to not transfer.
So
and he did. He transferred. He went to Kentucky.
You can have a list of those backup quarterbacks. Travis Johnson, Ty Thompson, just Oregon backups who came in and now gone.
All right. Coming up next, stuff we saw on the internet to wrap up hour number 2, 620 Rip City Radio. All right, wrapping up hour number 2. This is stuff we saw on the internet. There was the, I don't want to say viral because everybody keeps saying viral, but one of the more memorable, and not in a good way, but one of the more memorable moments of the Olympics, I would say most memorable things from the Olympics. Steph Curry saying night-night to France. Noah Lyles winning gold in the 100 by the skin of his teeth, and the Australian breakdancer. Then there was also the Turkish air pistol guy, where he just like all those air pistol people had like these super binoculars, and he's just like, nope, give me the gun. But one of the other more memorable things was watching in the gymnastics of the floor routine. And the Romanian gymnast thought she had the bronze medal, was celebrating with the flag. Then a scoring change happened 5 minutes later to award Jordan Chiles, who, by the way, Pacific Northwest owned. Jordan Chiles gets awarded based on a scoring change. There was a whole lot of people upset about it. There was an appeal filed. Apparently, yesterday evening, International Olympic Committee decided to strip Jordan Chiles of her floor exercise bronze medal. It's the sport's highest profile controversy since the 2000 Olympic Games in Sydney. That was the site of apparently the biggest scandal in Olympic gymnastics history. The IOC found that the scoring inquiry by the U.S. was invalid, echoing a ruling by the Court of Arbitration for Sport, blah, 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 found that the scoring appeal from Chiles' coach was filed 4 seconds too late. So if I have this correct, they did the scoring. They screwed up the scoring. U.S. team said, hey, think you screwed up the scoring. They went back and looked at it and said, yep, screwed up the scoring. Sorry, Romania. Jordan Chiles gets it. Then, a week later, you have a timetable on the appeal. You were 4 seconds too late. So now, your gymnast, who I'm assuming is back home in the United States with a bronze medal, we're going to need that back. Do I have that correct? Is that what happened? What?
It is. Yep.
This is why the Olympics are, and I love rooting for Team USA, and I am pro Team USA in every sport. But Brenden, this is why the Olympics are kind of a joke. It's true. It's why the Olympics are kind of a joke. The old Olympics that I grew up with, and maybe they were tainted back then, but like you look at like certain things in the Olympics where countries are buying athletes from other countries. You can just establish residency and play for any particular country, and the amount of doping scandals and the amount of bribery scandals with the IOC and everything, and you do stupid stuff like this. Like, oh, 4 seconds. Well, how about this? How about you don't screw up the scoring in the first place? Because if you would have just done your job in the first place, we wouldn't have any problems here. And now, instead of one person being up, now you got to upset two people because you embarrassed the Romanian gymnast by screwing up the scoring. Now you are trying to take back the bronze medal. Do you give it back if you're Jordan Chiles? Do you give it back? You've got a gold medal from the team. So you've got a gold medal.
Yeah, because she
you
might
give back the bronze. Like, fine. You go like, hey, bronze, I've got a gold medal. Or do you on principle say like, no, this is mine?
I want to mess with the committee because she probably will want to compete in 4 years, right? I'm not going to take on, like if it was like you could either do like the Reggie Bush, right? And just be like.
I misplaced it. I don't know where it's at. Because He didn't say that, but I think Reggie. They wanted the Heisman back, but he was like, "I gave it to a museum."
Yeah, I thought
I don't have it.
It's kind of funny because there was another USC running back who also got in trouble and also had to eventually sell his Heisman, but it was kind of hidden too. So it's kind of funny how that works. Something about USC and running backs, man.
And memorabilia.
Just teasing, but yeah, no, I mean. On principle, sure, like I wouldn't have wanted to give it back, but if you started that fight, maybe you're disqualified for the next 2028 Olympics. Like you said, the Olympics, Justin, they're like the new college football playoff committee. They answer to no one. They're like, oh, rules? Yeah, they're cute. We make the rules. We're the Olympic committee. We do what we want. You want to complain? Okay, you don't have to be in the Olympics. Like, they are the college football committee.
But it's things like this is why the Olympics are kind of a joke. And I don't like saying that out loud. Because I do like watching the Olympics.
It's over.
I like the spirit of the Olympics. But if you really dig deep, and I say this as a college football fan, my sport has so many warts. But like, it's things like this is why the Olympics are kind of a joke. You have all sorts of bribery with Olympic committees. There was a work labor issue when they were trying to get all the venues built in Rio.
Oh, Rio, what a great Olympic example.
And countries are just like that's the other thing you don't talk about a lot. Like a lot of the countries now, obviously, like Joel Embiid played for Team USA and he established his citizenship. Did he say he's going to play for Cameroon next time around? Did he say that?
I don't think so, but I also can't say for certain.
I thought I read that somewhere. I might have also been duped.
The only thing that was negative about Team USA this whole year, Justin, was the whole Jason Tatum situation. And that was hilarious to speak with Keith Smith.
But in the end, wasn't Steve Kerr kind of right? He won the gold.
But
he won the gold and went undefeated.
Yeah. No, but it's like you're like, oh, yeah, the highest paid player in the NBA did not play very much.
It's kind of funny.
It is.
It's kind of funny. But also... it was the LeBron Olympics.
And Steph and
then
KD.
It became the Steph
Olympics.
Olympics. Yeah.
And Anthony Edwards suddenly got quiet, too.
He got real quiet.
Thought he was going to be the alpha.
I'm taking all the shots. And it's like...
Funny how that worked. He'll be really good, though. Just wait.
Anthony Edwards is going to be good. Jason Tatum is going to be good. Steph, LeBron, and KD, those guys are bona fide Hall of Famers. A little different there. But, yeah. That was probably better thinking than me. If it was me... Hey, you're going to have to give back your bronze medal. No. I don't know where it's at. Sorry.
Yeah,
I really need you to give it back. No. It's not going to happen.
Are medals like, they have medals that have little trackers in them?
Yeah, the GPS on them.
Like little air tags. Like, oh, that bronze medal. It's over at her house.
All right, coming up, hour number 3. Tyson Alger's on the big show. RCM mailbag. Oh, and we're going to rank some quarterbacks. That's next, 620 Rip City Radio.
8 a.m. here on a Wednesday morning. Brenden Slaughter with you. Vikings rookie quarterback J.J. McCarthy needs surgery on his right knee after an MRI revealed a meniscus injury. The timeline for his return will be determined based on what they find when they get in there during the surgery. And in the meantime, Sam Darnold is up at quarterback for the Vikings. Speaking of injuries, training camp injuries hit Texas football hard as the Longhorns have lost 2 rotation running backs, one being a starter, one a backup, to season-ending knee and Achilles injuries last week. Coming up on the big show, we'll catch up with Tyson Alger here in 20 minutes to talk a whole bunch of topics.
All right, welcome back to Rip City Mornings. Hopefully you are having a fantastic Wednesday. As Brenden just told you, Tyson Alger is going to join us in 20 minutes. Would he give up the bronze medal? Would he give it back? I do think it
might get locked in like the corridor. The corridor's got to have like a really great trophy case.
It's true.
Like I would bet Tyson would invest to put that thing somewhere safe.
Probably got his number from when he ran the 100 in the Prefontaine Classic and all of that stuff. But again, I don't want to talk too much about this, but I do think it helps a little bit that, like, Jordan Childs has a gold medal, right? If it was your only medal, then I'd be like, I don't know if I'm giving that one back. You work your entire life. Think about what it takes to be an Olympic gymnast. She's from, I think, Vancouver, but moved to Texas to train. Just up and pack your life and down to Texas to train, to get to the Olympics, to have your moment, to be sitting there and getting a bronze medal. And then they're like, yeah, we're going to need that back because 4 seconds too late on the appeal. But the fact that she already has a gold medal, so, like, when you go, like, to her house, you're like, oh, yeah, that's a gold medal right there. If it was the only medal, like, yeah, you're not getting it back. All right, also yesterday, Dan Orlovsky gave his quarterback rankings by trait. Now, we're not going to go through all this, okay? And I'm not going to sit here and debate who is the 4th best arm strength quarterback versus who is the 6th best arm strength quarterback. But here's what I've always kind of looked at, whether it is MVP or whether it is Rookie of the Year or even into Heisman a little bit. If we were to redraft the current quarterbacks in the NFL for one season, how would the draft order go? Essentially, if there was a real-life fantasy football draft.
So much fun. So much fun. This awesome idea.
Thank you. Clearly, Patrick Mahomes is still going 1-1. And we're talking about quarterback for a season, not a future. By the way, do you do your fantasy football draft?
We always wait till after preseason to avoid.
Yeah, so you don't have J.J. McCarthy on your team.
Right, avoid injuries. 100%. I learned that lesson many years ago when somebody drafted somebody, blew out his knee in, training camp, and you're like, yep, we wait until after preseason is over to draft every time.
This last weekend, multiple fantasy football draft bros in Vegas at one of the sports books I was at. Because that does sound like fun. Well, it doesn't sound like fun. But, like, you and your boys, we're going to go to Vegas. That's where we're going to do our draft. And then I could only imagine, hopefully you didn't get J.J. McCarthy.
If you had friends and it was free, would you do it? If you had friends that were like, Justin, we have a spot for you. Like, would you do one, not just one, just to have fun with it? Or you're like, I'm out. It was just totally fine. I'm just curious.
If it was free, yeah. There is one part of fantasy football that I am actually kind of envious, which is it's kind of the way you do keep up with old friends, right? Like,
totally. That's how we do it.
And you're gonna realize this as you get older. You go from your 20s to your 30s to your 40s, and you get married and kids and everything, and Yeah, trying to plan anything with friends
Very
in
true.
your 40s, I think I've got a date open in 2026.
So true.
We'll try that, and then you put it on the calendar. So I do see like the fun of like every week I'm in communication with my friends, and it's a thing we do together, and we meet every year and we do the draft. That being said, it just never appealed to me. But we're gonna redraft quarterbacks right now, not from a fantasy standpoint, but would you want them on your team for a year? All right, Mahomes going 1-1. Now it gets hard. Before he tore his Achilles, I would have said easily Aaron Rodgers is the second best quarterback in the league last year. But he's coming off of a torn Achilles. There are so many quarterbacks who I think would be number 2 in the order, but are coming off of Joe Burrow's coming off of an injury. Justin Herbert's coming off of an injury. Who else is coming? Like Aaron Rodgers is coming off of an injury. There were so many significant injuries. I think I got to go Burrow number 2. And I hate it because he's in the division and he's a Cincinnati Bengal. But I think if you were redrafting current quarterbacks right now, I think Joe Burrow goes number 2.
Well,
he's young. He's still young enough, but obviously not a rookie.
If there's one
for one season, I think it's Joe Burrow.
Yeah, no, I agree. I love
between him and Josh Allen. I went Joe Burrow.
I'm like it's a good debate. I'm like, but I love Joe Burrow. And injuries have been significant. Like you talk about Josh Allen, somebody who gets hit a lot more. There's the bigger frame paying off, as he has not been as injured. But that being said, Justin, exactly 2 quarterbacks have stopped Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
One of them is retired and playing, and is going to be an awesome Fox commentator.
He was also at the concert I was at. He's my buddy. I was hanging out with Tom Brady on Friday.
I'm so jealous, man. So you have no idea.
Well, it's not like I saw him on a big screen.
Still, I'm like, it's cool, man. It's you're in GOAT status.
Oh, yeah, saw him on a big screen.
And the second guy is Joe Burrow. Like it is, and I talked to Dan Pizzuta about that on Monday, and I'm like, why is nobody like saying that louder? Joe Burrow has been the Mahomes kryptonite. Like AFC champion, like that is, only player to do it. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting, but I would probably go Joe Burrow. Or my sneaky one, I'd consider Lamar Jackson.
See,
I would.
This is where it gets tough, right? If you're ranked, if you go again to what Dan Orlovsky did and you go rushing ability, yeah, Lamar Jackson's the best. He's been doing it for what? 5 years now? And I have been very vocal about how I'm a huge fan of Lamar Jackson, but where is it could Lamar Jackson fit everywhere? I think he could. But it just seems though him and Baltimore just seem to be hand glove.
Could you imagine?
Figure it out.
Yeah, totally. But could you imagine just envision a world where Mike McDaniel and that offense in Miami has Lamar Jackson, right? Let's just play that game. That would be insane, I think. And then if you say you could trade, it would never happen with money and everything. But if you could replace Brock Purdy with Lamar Jackson, San Francisco 49ers might be the best football team created since the 2007 Patriots.
You want a hot take? I don't think they would.
Really?
I don't think they would.
It's a good.
I
like it.
I'm going to sound like a broken record until he proves me wrong. Brock Purdy is exactly what the 49ers need. He's exactly what the 49ers need.
But it doesn't mean you can't get better, though, right? You can't upgrade? That's all I'm saying. It's I'm not. It's not.
But an upgrade would. I know Deion Sanders did the whole, what's chemistry? What's chemistry? What is it?
You guys talk about chemistry at home.
What's chemistry? And it's it is guys being 100% in sync and knowing what the other is kind of thinking and about to do, and you can work off of that. It actually really helps in sports. I think they've got that in San Francisco. Or maybe just Brock Purdy is the luckiest SOB alive to where he's just just get it out fast and just go. But I think
somewhere in the middle, I think.
It might be. Right, I'm going to go Burrow 2. Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen or Justin Herbert. I love Herbert, but I can't put him ahead of guys who've had success in the playoffs. I think I'm going to go Josh Allen 3. I'm going to go Josh Allen 3. I'm going to go Lamar Jackson 4. Why am I so crazy to think that Aaron Rodgers is going to be really good this year? Like,
You're not. He could
why
be.
am I so crazy? Because I want to put Aaron Rodgers I want to put him at like number 2, but coming off of an injury, is Aaron Rodgers going to be better than Justin Herbert this year? Probably, huh?
He's got better weapons. Justin Herbert and the Chargers, like, we think they're going to be better, but they are leaning into a full rebuild. They cut all their players.
They did.
Like, we cut Keenan Allen. Oh, yeah, he's going for Caleb Williams now.
Plays for the Bears now,
Cut
yeah.
Mike Williams. He was a great receiver. I forget where he went. Cut, I don't think Austin Eckler is there anymore, and he was obviously the running back that was just Eckler's with the Commanders now. So, yeah, Harbaugh came in and said, all right, we're only going to pay Herbert.
Yeah.
So I think that will be some growing pains. They'll be much better because we know Jim, but yeah.
Okay. Mahomes, Burrow. This is the Justin list. Brenden, feel free to throw the challenge flag. But Mahomes, Burrow. I go Allen 3. Lamar Jackson 4. Aaron Rodgers 5. I want to get real hot takey and pick CJ Stroud. Herbert 6, CJ Stroud 7. Boy, it gets
tough.
Dak? Is Dak the number 8 quarterback? Is he a top 10 guy? I think so. After the year he had last year.
Yes.
Now, CeeDee Lamb's not there yet.
If CeeDee Lamb is not in Dallas, that changes everything.
Also, Jamar Chase holding out?
It's more like a hold in.
But they said like he wasn't there. Does that change the Burrow thing?
Yeah, it does. I mean, and T. Higgins is not happy about playing on a franchise tag this year. So it's funny because you told me forever, Justin, you're like, a quarterback can change everything. And we started to think, oh, wow, Joe Burrow, the Bengals aren't being cheap. They paid Joe Burrow. They let Joe Mixon walk. They haven't paid Jamar Chase yet. They have not paid T. Higgins.
Yeah, because the Bengals are like, we've paid one guy. That's enough. All right? That is enough. Let's not get nuts here. We put up a practice facility. We paid a quarterback. That's it. Wallet's closed, everybody.
They were like, what, the last team in the NFL to not have a facility or something like that?
They did not have an indoor practice facility.
In Cleveland.
Cincinnati.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
In Cincinnati. In December, if they were playing, they practiced outside because they did not have an indoor practice facility. All right. So there's Dak. I'm putting Brock Purdy in my top 10. I think Brock Purdy might have just blown right past Jalen Hurts.
Jalen Hurts kind of disappointed me this last year.
Blown right past Tua. Blown right past Jordan Love. Blown right past Jared Goff. Are we disrespecting Jared Goff?
Maybe a little, man.
I can't be like, oh, Purdy's a winner, and Jared Goff was right there. Man, this is tough. Orlovsky really had a tough job with all that. Like the top 5, you can mix and match. Once you get past that, it's a little bit tough. I think, yeah. I got to put Jared Goff in my top 10. I'm dropping Dak out. Dak's out. Purdy's in. Tua's out. There we go. All right. Tyson Alger's in. He's joining us next. But before we get to that, I do want to let you know about Take Me Up to the Ball Game. That's right. Head to the contest page at Rip City Radio for a chance to score a pair of tickets to each game of the weekend homestand with the Seattle Mariners as they take on the Texas Rangers September 13th through the 15th at T-Mobile Park, plus 2 nights at Hotel 5. That's a State Pineapple Hotel. It's out of the ordinary hotels with extraordinary locations. Enter today at ripcityradio.com. And reminder, it is not too late to plan a trip for a Mariners game this season at T-Mobile Park. All the schedule and information for tickets is at mariners.com. Tyson Alger next, 620 Rip City Radio. All right. It is Wednesday. It is 8:21. It is time to bring in our good friend. He is the founder. He is the president. He is the CEO. He is the, from what I understand, the commissioner of the Fantasy Football League, yet also the loser of the Fantasy Football League. Don't know if they had a punishment there at the I-5 corridor, but he does everything for the I-5 corridor, and he also hangs out with us each and every Wednesday. Tyson Alger back on the Big Show. How are we doing, Tyson?
We're doing good, Justin. How are you today?
I am doing much better than I was doing yesterday.
Talk me through it.
Vegas got me. I'll be perfectly honest. Vegas got me.
Yeah.
And while I think I powered through the show yesterday, didn't do much after the show yesterday, I'll be completely honest. So much better than I was yesterday.
Well, I appreciate you kind of getting that out of your system yesterday, because the standards that we have to uphold here at 8:20 on Wednesdays is sacred.
It's true.
So let's
Devon Pouncey had to carry me yesterday in the final hour. So
he's got those big broad shoulders. Devon can do that. Yeah.
Between Deion Sanders and apparently, was it yesterday at practice with Ryan Gunderson? There's been some. It's that point in training camp where everybody gets a little bit testy, and maybe coaches get a little bit fired up and are tired of hearing the same questions over and over again. Have you ever had a testy encounter with a head coach? Maybe not to the likes of Deion Sanders, completely saying the entire organization is out. But you ever had a testy encounter with the head coach, especially during camp?
I think usually when you get to like the second or third week of fall camp, the temperature is definitely higher up there. Like you could even see that. This week. I believe it was on Saturday. It was after the Ducks had their first scrimmage. I apologize to the reporter who asked this question, but it made me crack up. But someone asked Lanning, did any players stand out at the scrimmage today? And Dan, the speed at which Dan said no, and then just moved on to the next question made me cackle. Especially because I pulled it up versus like a Mark Helfrich clip in like 2013 where somebody asked the same question and Mark went into like a 5-minute soliloquy about Reggie Daniels. I think we're at the point where coaches are a little tired of certain questions. As for me personally, it's been a bit since I've gotten in like a good solid tiff, but like back in my college days, I did have Bobby Houck of Montana smack my tape recorder out of my hand during fall camp, so that was a fun one.
Okay, yeah, that's a tough one to top. I'm sure the idea of Deion Sanders saying he's not going to talk to anybody from CBS is quite quaint when you were nearly physically assaulted.
I mean, if we want to actually like get into like the semantics, I think I might have been, Justin. I'm just coming to realize this now on your show here, 20 years later, and you might have to talk me through it.
I want to know so much more about it, but I think I know the subject matter maybe of said questioning, which it got a little bit intense off the field when you were there at Montana.
Yeah, they didn't like talking to us a whole bunch, and the football team started boycotting the newspaper, and then we might have like added fire to the flames when they were playing their rival, and we just did the whole preview issue on the other team because our team wouldn't talk to us. It's kids,
just kid stuff.
Yeah, but also like if you have players out there assaulting people in the community, maybe talk about it. So, but anyways, that's a different story.
Tyson Alger from the I-5 corridor joining us here on 620 Rip City Radio. Well, it is interesting because I have heard like different, like anytime there's a scrimmage, right? Because we were talking about this, like there's a honeymoon phase to fall camp, which I put out about 3 days. You might find it to be shorter, but it feels like there's a honeymoon phase, right? It's first day of school. Everybody's happy to be back, especially around Oregon. Vibes are very, very high. A lot of expectations and a lot of talent on this team. It always seems to kind of end right about that first scrimmage because obviously reporters, as is their job, want to know, like you said, who stood out, or was it the defense or the offense? Can you give us anything from said scrimmage? And most coaches want nothing to get out about said scrimmage at all. So it is a fascinating little do-si-do, especially around the scrimmages.
Well, and I think it's, just from like Oregon's case, and I know we're not talking about Oregon here, but from Oregon's perspective, this fall there's so much new on that depth chart, and there's so much competition, and like I feel like that there's probably a lot less things settled now in a camp than like maybe you would be in a traditional year, where it's just like the scrimmage has a lot of dudes in pads for the first time going up against each other, and I imagine there's some hot heads that come out of that. So yeah, I think what do we got, about 2 weeks left of these shenanigans before they're actually able to take it out on somebody of their own. Wait, I guess they play Idaho, but
yeah,
you know what I mean. Yeah.
Tyson Alger from the I-5 corridor joining us here on 620 Rip City Radio. I heard this conversation because if you look at the schedule, October 12th, which obviously you and I will both be at Autzen Stadium, probably in very different mental capacities, but we will both be in the stadium for that Oregon-Ohio State game. And then there's the entire slate of college football is unbelievable that day. Sometimes being a sports media person, not the best thing to bring up, or not the funnest conversation starter at parties, because then you're going to have to talk about sports the whole time. But on a day like October 12th, where everyone knows that you are going to be busy and you would never be dared to be invited to a birthday party or a dinner out, or dare I say a wedding, not much of a better time than a big-time college football weekend to be like, sorry, you guys know I'm working, right?
Yeah, especially too because that's a game that has crossover appeal. That I feel like even the people outside the diehards will at least oh yeah, I heard something about that Oregon-Ohio State game this weekend. I have a group of friends. It's my hockey group, and every first weekend of September they do this big annual golf outing thing. And once again, the invite came this year, and it's Tyson, are you going to be able to come? And it's guys, every year it's on a Saturday. Every year I say let's do it in August, and every year you forget because they're playing in Idaho. So I think at least when you get into the October and you're playing Ohio State, I at least feel that. And back to the golf thing, people don't really they don't respect your job when you say you're missing this big friends gathering because they're playing Idaho. When you get to Ohio State, on the other hand,
yeah.
I feel that translates a little bit more. So, but then again, there's not a whole lot of October weddings. It's more of a September thing. I missed 3 one year back in 2016, which was definitely a year to not miss weddings. But I digress.
Yeah. So you mentioned it's kind of hard to explain with Idaho. I am now because again, my lovely wife goes to football games of not her alma mater, and she is very, very understanding and nice about it. But then a friend of hers is having a wedding on Boise State game, and I don't know. I couldn't sell my wife that Boise State was a can't miss game, and so I agreed. I was yeah, we'll just miss that one. We have people that want the tickets. We'll go to the wedding. I'll watch it on my phone. Then, Tyson, I see
I know what you're going for.
Projections of the college football playoff, and now I may be
missing
a first-round preview?
You're by missing that game, it will put you more behind the 8 ball than any other missed game in your career. You can't go to this wedding. You have a responsibility to be informed to your listeners.
I feel as though at this point in time, because hotel rooms have been purchased and dresses, more importantly, have been purchased. We are past the windmill, as they did in Back to the Future 3, and your boy's going to be watching the Boise State game on a phone. Yeah.
Yeah, but she's not in radio. She can get another dress.
It is kind of fascinating, though, because I've seen not just that preview, but now that we are we're in ranking season, and we are in preview season, and we are in prediction season, a lot of people have Oregon kind of there as that 5th seed, which It's interesting that while it might be an okay spot if you do get like App State or you do get Boise and you get that home game, I know it got brought up a couple of times at Big Ten Media Day, but like being the losing team of that major conference championship, that's going to be like one really tough spot, I think, to be in going into the college football playoff. Wouldn't you say? Because you have to play an extra game and then you don't get that bye. And the team that's coming in is essentially coming off of a bye.
Yeah, you're essentially playing an extra game where you just played a very hard team. You're playing an upstart team. I do like there's part of me that's like, would you prefer to have a bye and then lose in one of those bowl stadiums, or play in the first round, host a home playoff game, which would be like frankly epic. And then maybe if you lose in the next round after that, like it's going to be. It's going to be really challenging if you're that fifth seed, because I think I think everyone kind of believes that with 12 teams now. It's like 12 teams have a chance. Like this is fair. This is like the NCAA basketball tournament. But like realistically, there's still probably only like 3 or 4 teams that have a chance at winning this, and you don't want to have to play an extra game if you're trying to compete with the Georgias and the Alabamas and the Ohio States of the world.
Tyson Alger from the I-5 corridor joining us here on 620 Rip City Radio. AP poll is out. Question for you. How long do we have an AP poll? Does the AP poll stick around? And this isn't me trying to be dismissive of the fine folks who are in the AP, who are voters on the AP poll. And I believe you were also a voter for a time on the AP poll. How long do we have this now that there's this 12-team college football playoff?
As long as there's still 25 employed journalists in the sports world, so probably like 10 years or so.
Gotcha.
No, it's been interesting. I was a top 25 voter for the men's basketball poll, which had a little less competition than here on football. Football kind of feels like it's antiquated and doesn't make a whole lot of sense anymore, just because you do have the committee rankings and those are what you go by. But at the same time, if you want to date back 15 years, they had a separate BCS formula that would shoot out towards the end of the season back in the day, and we still ran the AP poll back then. So I think as long as all of us can milk content out of the poll every Sunday afternoon and Monday, I think that'll still be there. I think it's just one of those kind of interesting traditions where at least you get a relatively varied opinion. I always have my qualms with the coaches poll, because I know a lot of SIDs actually fill those out, and it's not actually the coaches who do them. And while I know most of these reporters who do the top 25, it's really hard to keep tabs on everything across the country. I think people genuinely try to do a good job with them. So, I don't think the poll's quite in danger any more than journalism's in danger. So actually that's kind of depressing. So we'll see it disappear in 5 years.
Well, and then I wanted to bring this up because obviously we're talking a ton about Oregon, and they're the number 3 team in the country, and they got a first place vote. Not receiving any votes, both Washington State and Oregon State, in a poll where Boise State got a couple of votes. Liberty got a couple of votes. App State got a couple of votes. Heck, Colorado got one. I know that Oregon State and Washington State sadly got left out of this whole realignment thing, and they're kind of in limbo, and they don't have that automatic qualifier because they're technically not a group of 6 team, but they're technically not a power conference team, and they're they're kind of in the middle ground. But I have a hard time believing, Tyson, that there are when you look at the rosters and the schedules, that there isn't at least a top 25 vote in there for either one of those 2 schools. Was this a out of sight, out of mind, unfortunate thing for both the Beavs and the Cougs?
I think so. I think there's just so much unknown about these 2 teams. I mean, Oregon State specifically, you lose your quarterback, you lose your head coach, you lose your running back. Obviously, they still have a lot of good pieces on that defense, and they're not too far removed from a really good season that they had last year. But I think just kind of their instability, I feel like people, don't have a whole lot of faith in throwing one of those real valued top 25 votes at them. But I will say, seeing Boise State up there, and then also like seeing them in those playoff projections too. It's just like I feel like that I don't see like a future of why Boise State needs to be a more stable or successful program than Oregon State is, and so. I think with Oregon State leaving the pack or getting kind of left behind here, there's all those fears of, they're never going to be able to be in contention. But if they can kind of figure out a way, if I'm them, I'd much rather kind of like figure out a way to be like the next Boise State than become like the 10th rung team in the Big 12 too. And I know obviously there's different financials there, and you got to go with what makes sense there. But like I just. It struck me when I saw Boise State projected there yesterday, because it kind of makes it does make you realize that like Oregon State's not completely left out of the dust here if they can kind of figure out a lane and stick with it. But.
Tyson Alger from the I-5 corridor joining us here on 620 Rip City Radio. And now the Olympics are over, and we are now moving on to football, but we still have one more bit of business to do. So apparently they took back a bronze medal from Jordan Childs, the Olympic gymnast, who's from around here, by the way. And my question is, Tyson, she clearly had the bronze medal in her possession when she flew home. If it were you, would you give it back?
I think I'd say I would tell them that I'm not keeping this, but come find it. So. Yeah, it's like no, I'm not stealing this, and I'm not refusing to get it back, but just like come get it,
Yeah,
like,
and you know what? To be fair, because I've already got a gold medal, and that's the one that I know where that's at. I don't know where that bronze medal's at. It might be in a storage shed. It might be in the attic. Best of luck.
I mean, we talk ad nauseum about like how our officials in like mainstream American sports are bad, and how we hate replay reviews, and you can't change a call after it's been made, and like all those sorts of things. Like never once have we like had a close play at second base, guy slides in, call him safe, to go to a replay review, call him out, and then like 4 days later they go like, you know what, he was out.
He was out.
I feel like that, like once people get back to their hotel rooms, I feel like the ruling has to stand. Like there's got to be like a 24-hour period here, especially if someone doesn't fail like a drug test or something. Like it was obviously just like an error on the judge's part, and the fact that they've done this to now both of those athletes, where it was I forget which country the woman was from. But yeah, like she thought she was going to want it, and they devastated her. Then they gave it to Jordan, and it's just fluky. Like it's funky. I don't like it.
By the way, you triggered me on video reviews. I was watching sports in the Caesar Sports Book, and obviously they have a ton of sports up there. Video reviews in Little League softball and Little League baseball. Video reviews, Tyson. This is ridiculous, right?
Well, it depends. You got money on it?
No, I do not. That is absurd. I bet on Team USA, who did not cover, by the way. I refuse to bet on 12-year-olds who are going to cry when they strike out, which I would too if I struck out on national TV, and then have to go to middle school the next year and get made fun of. But I also don't need, like, super softball dad calling for video review.
Dude, so on Sunday we had the first round of our Sunday Softball League playoffs, which is a very low-key league. There's no umps, there's no strikes, there's no balls. It's just you take pitches until you swing and get a hit, and it's self-call on the outs. The game right before us, it came down to the final out. It was the 1 seed versus the 16 seed. There was a bang-bang play at first base, and one of the kids on the bench was recording it, and they made it go to video review. And
oh my God.
And I was like rolling around laughing, because it's like we're in the most relaxed Sunday softball league, and we're getting like people screaming going to video review, and some people were yelling about frame count, like why don't you have that at 60 frames per second? And yeah, it was great. We're
in the Twilight Zone. We've officially entered the Twilight Zone. Tyson Alger, you can find him on social media, on X or Twitter, at Tyson Alger. The I-5 corridor is where you need to be subscribed to for terrific content on Oregon football and all things Pacific Northwest. And you can, of course, hear him on this particular station. Hey, have a great week, Tyson. We'll talk to you next Wednesday.
Yeah, absolutely.
There you go, Tyson Alger. We have got the RCA mailbag wrapping up the show next, 620 Rip City Radio. All right, just a couple of days left to stuff the bus. That's right, us here at Rip City Radio and our good friends at Lazy Boy. The annual Stuff the Bus school supply drive now through August 19th. Donate a backpack or 10 miscellaneous school supply items at any of the 6 local Lazy Boy locations. That includes Salem and Eugene. And receive up to 25% off your Lazy Boy purchase. Some exclusions do apply, and then the Salvation Army will distribute your donations to local families in need. We thank you all for your generosity. All the details at ripcityradio.com, the community page. Right now, though, it is time for the RCM mailbag. Here we go.
All right, firing up the big mailbag today. Justin, I'm curious, do you have any TV shows or movies that are coming out that you're excited for?
I was just talking about this with Kelly yesterday, that like we are in a drought right now. We are in a bit of a dry run, so much so that when, I don't know if you saw yesterday, but Hard Knocks was delayed or Max was delayed putting Hard Knocks on streaming. And I'm like, I go, and I was like, all right, excited to watch Hard Knocks tonight. And I go to put, it's like, yeah, it's only episode 1 is available. I'm like, what is going on? Go to Twitter. Everybody was freaking out. And by everybody, it was like, 50-some people, but it felt like everybody. I don't even know what's coming up. I know, like, when I need Chicago Fire and Chicago PD to come back. That's what I need. I need my Chicago shows to come back. Also, Jeopardy is on their break right now, and so they are repeating the Tournament of Champions, which I usually skip the Tournament of Champions because questions are way too hard.
Sure.
So I need Jeopardy. I really want Jeopardy back. Jeopardy needs to come back. But is there a cowboy show coming up anytime soon?
Yeah, so there's a couple.
I know Yellowstone's November, but
yeah.
I have low expectations for Yellowstone.
But at the same token,
like, I'm going to watch it, but I have low expectations.
Like at the same token, we talked about Yellowstone in our house. We're like, well, we know it's not going to be great. They're going to have to do an off-screen death for Kevin Costner. We know off-screen deaths where you don't shoot it are not going to be great. That being said, though, still Yellowstone. Like Justin said, I will still watch it. I am nevertheless not as excited, but it's cool to finally have it come back after 2.5 years.
Yeah.
I'm really, this is kind of me. I know, not necessarily saying things that you would like, Justin, but the Penguin is coming out on Max. It's Colin Farrell playing the Penguin from the Batman
I saw
movie.
That. I was meh on the Penguin.
Yeah, like
not a bit.
You were a big Batman fan.
I loved Batman when I was a kid.
Yeah,
and Dark Knight was cool, but like.
So that's one of them.
In depth though into the Batman universe, not really been my jam.
Yeah, no, for sure. And then the next Taylor Sheridan show's coming out, The Landman with Billy Bob Thornton. That's coming out later this year. Going to be kind of like an oil baron. So
okay.
I like where that goes. And you know me, last but not least, Justin, we may not get House of Dragon forever, but another Game of Thrones spinoff is coming in early 2025. You know I am all in on that. So,
what is it about?
It's going to be in between Game of Thrones and where we are right now. So we're going to flash ahead 100 years. So they realize now that people will watch whatever they make. We'll just see if it's any good.
What's it called? Do we know what it's called?
A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms.
Okay.
So we'll see. We'll see. But, I saw that the other day. I'm like, okay, there's some TV to get excited
I think I might have to rip the Band-Aid off this Game of Thrones thing. I think I might, but who knows? I say that, and then there's all of a sudden it's 7:30, and I've watched Jeopardy, and it's like, what are we gonna watch? So the Game of Thrones thing on.
And,
so when's the 1923 coming back?
Sometime next year.
Next year.
They're filming right now. I only know that because I saw recently that if you lived
When's Tulsa King coming back?
This year.
Boom.
So let's get Tulsa King in the fall.
Tulsa King is my answer then. That's the one.
Yeah,
Tulsa King
that was
coming
great.
back. I'm pumped for that.
I love Tulsa King. That was awesome. Sly Stallone, man. That was a good show. I really hope they do good with that. But yeah, like 1923, like a lot of these shows, especially the Taylor Sheridan shows, they really got hit back with that writer's strike and everything. And it's like shows that we should have had back by now, still just kick the can down the road.
ready for Chicago PD and Chicago Fire to come back.
Do you ever finish the Bear, or were you out?
No,
on that?
Bear's still on the list.
Okay, but you got
so probably watch that tonight.
Did you get in? Because I remember you said you watched that weekly, or try to watch it weekly with Kelly. You guys watched that together, right?
Yes.
Okay, so making some progress on the Bear. I'm trying to think if there was any other big TV shows.
Bear also been a little meh. Now maybe there's something coming down the pike. I don't know. And it's not been terrible, but it's
this season
a lot of like, hey, let's look back, and I'm like,
there wasn't quite as much. I didn't like it as much the first 2 seasons, but still solid. So yeah, that's.
I'm just ready for football back in our lives.
Ain't that the
which
truth?
It's true. It's kind of back now with some preseason games. But the preseason games have also lost their luster a little bit. It happens every year. Like I get pumped about the Hall of Fame game, and then that first week, and it's like, oh yeah,
nobody played that was important.
But week from Saturday when Florida State plays, I'm pumped up. All right, that's going to do it for the big show. Thanks to Tyson Alger from the I-5 corridor. Thanks to super producer Brenden. Thanks to all of you. Have a terrific Wednesday. We are back bright and early tomorrow morning on 620 Rip City Radio.